Okay. Hello? Okay. Well, let's get started. The next panel is on solving the fundamental problems in medicine through cutting-edge research in biomedical engineering. I would like to introduce you to the moderator, Dr. Melissa Scala. Dr. Scala is the Carol Skornicka Chair at the Morgridge Institute for Research. She received her master's from University of Wisconsin and PhD from Duke University. Her research focuses on biomedical optical imaging technologies for cancer research, cell therapy, and immunology. Welcome, Melissa, and all the panelists.
Thank you. Ooh, and it magically got quiet. I love it when that happens. So we have these wonderful panelists. One more is on his way. And I'm just going to let you guys get started introducing yourself. We'll start with Kevin, because he's smiling at me like he's ready to go. I don't know, like 3 to 5 minutes, your background, etc. Thank you.
I'm Kevin Alseri. It's good to be here. I smile because I'm happy. I like being here. I've been here forever. I came here in '92, and really very fortunate. Rob Radwood and Willis Tompkins really took me under their wing and helped me a lot, and got me started. And then I was around to see all these other great faculty come in. I love this place. The reason I've never left is it's the most collaborative place I've ever been. I'm not sure why. The deans take credit. But if there's no deans here, that's not them, so I'm not sure who it is. But I think it's the previous people that make it possible. I think the generations, each guard makes sure the next generation is set. And I'm very grateful for who helped me, and hopefully I'm helping people as well. So I love it here. Love the campus and all the faculty, all the students, grad students. Work with a lot of the alumni, like Paul Provinciano is one of the original 11 as well in Minnesota. My research is I'm fascinated by what makes cells tick. So cells are behind everything good or bad in your life, and I want to know why and what they do. And so cancer, diabetes, aging, Alzheimer's, and so on. And so I do optical and machine learning techniques, and I am extremely collaborative because I don't bring my own biology to the table. I just want to help biologists with their problems. And I think the biggest thing I care about is not my papers, not my grants, not my science. I realized a long time ago I'm not going to cure cancer. Instead, I care about all of you, the people that are the mentees. They're our biggest product of all our labs, and what they do next is way more important than they do in our labs. We're just a stepping stone to their next success, and I really love to see that happen. So I will end.
My name is Filiz Yesilkoy. I'm an assistant professor in the department. Started January 2020. So fun times to start anything. It was mostly during COVID, but with the amazing support from staff and mentors, it just happened, and it's just going really well right now. So my research is on developing new technologies using light. In biomedical engineering, we want to measure things, and the things that we want to measure are really small, like proteins, molecules, biomolecules, and when we just shine light on them to kind of test if they're there, it's just not that efficient. So then we play our trick. We bring in nanosciences to make light matter interactions more efficient. We develop technologies, but one thing that I really like and learned being in the BME department, and something that I want to quote the VB, keep the final application in mind when you start a project, an application. So this is something really inspiring in the department, and yeah, it's really interesting to do research in this area.
Hi, I'm Arushi, and I am, I think, the junior most on this panel. I just joined 2 months back, started as an assistant professor in the biomedical department. I'm coming from a background which is an infusion of biomedical applications and mechanics. So I trained as an engineer, a mechanical engineer, but who got really interested in biomedical applications. What I do for research is study how ultrasound interacts with soft materials. They can be biological or synthetic. And try to understand that mechanics and use it for therapy or building micro devices around therapy. So what it entails is that you can use ultrasound energy to stimulate cells. For example, neurostimulation can be done, or drug delivery. Or you can really use the destructive power of ultrasound, which I like, to destroy cells and tissues and treat cancer or blood clots. So that's where my interest lies in. And yep.
Thank you. I'm Aviad. Hi, assistant professor. I joined our BME department in January 2019, and it's been a great ride. Our group is working in the space of neurotechnology. We're really trying to innovate on powerful ways to access the nervous system to record and stimulate the brain. We're really trying to move from more traditional wired devices that apparently are still going on and with companies such as Neuralink, et cetera. But we're trying to take this to the wireless realm. We're trying to replace these really invasive devices with stealth agents that are wireless and they don't require battery power. And we do this because we're trying to move from recording from very specific and localized areas in the brain with invasiveness. We're trying to move to record from large regions of the brain. And my research group and I think my vision is that this would be the way to understand the brain. I think that, without going too philosophical, every little task that we do involves many different regions in the brain, and we're trying as a group to really innovate on that and trying to understand how the brain works and develop also neurotherapeutics and understand what happens to the brain when things go wrong in neurodegenerative diseases and neuropathological disorders.
Hey everyone, I'm Josh Brockman. I launched my lab just about a year ago here at UW-Madison. So I am absolutely fascinated by cellular mechanics. So I think that just like when you go to the doctor and the doctor asks you to tell him about your diet and exercise, we need to ask cells the same thing. But measuring cellular forces is really hard, especially if you're trying to do it at the cellular level. So if you want to understand how a cell thinks mechanically with its receptors, you have to measure piconewton forces. And a piconewton is almost a mind-bogglingly tiny amount of force. It's 1/trillionth the force required to lift an apple against the force of gravity, or 1/millionth the radiation pressure of sunlight on a sunny day. So making tools that can measure the forces that cells exert is the focus of my laboratory. And within that scope, I'm a bit of an omnivore. I care about cell mechanics, and I will look at whatever disease state someone will pay me to look at. So I've done work with clotting because platelet-mediated clotting is highly mechanical. A platelet can stop itself while it's moving more than 1 million times its body length per second and still grab onto the vessel wall. I don't know about you, but my arms would rip off if I tried to do that. T cells use mechanical forces to decide whether or not they want to kill something. And a student in my lab has just recently started showing that maybe microglia do the same thing. So I'm happy to be paid to look at whatever biological system you're interested in, so long as it involves cellular mechanics in some way, shape, or form. Thank you.
Okay, so all of you could be in any department you want. You could be in electrical engineering or medical physics or cell biology. So what attracted you to BME? Are we going to go in order again? It's up to you guys. Or we could go reverse order. Let's do it.
So I think my first exposure to biomedical engineering was when I was 12, and my grandfather handed me an article about a brand new program that was being started at a bunch of at a bunch of Big Ten universities. And I was like, I don't know, something clicked in my brain. That was what I was going to do. But why I continue to like to be here is that being a biomedical engineer keeps me at the interface of engineering and medicine, and it keeps me in contact with people who put me on the track to look at impactful problems. Because I like microscopes, I like nanotechnology, and I need to be directed towards using those things in impactful ways that are centered on human health. And so I find a great home in BME to keep me centered and looking at something that's relevant.
Yes, I totally agree. I think BME is the place to be because you can throw around the words like interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, but this is the only place where life meets, and especially in my field where we're trying to understand the brain, we're trying to interface with the brain. We are basically creating a lot of dead things like microchips and devices, and we're trying to have them communicate with living organs that are super complicated, like the brain. So there is no other place where that happens, and that's, I think, true for many other fields. So really, there's no dilemma there. That's where I knew I wanted to be. So.
So I think they both have already emphasized enough on why one should go for BME, especially one who's working at the intersection of life and engineering. For me, I think I didn't become interested in BME per se until the second year of my PhD, when I distinctly remember that I was working on making analytical models, doing theory and simulations. And we started proposing that this can be used for biomedical applications. But at that point, I stopped myself and asked, how? Like, how can it be used? And from then on, I started truly getting interested that I want to explore how the models and simulations that I'm building can be actually realized, what can be actually done, or we are just proposing things for the sake of it. So yeah, that's what attracted me eventually to biomedical engineering.
My education background is in electrical engineering, and there are many faculty in EC departments all over the country and in the world who do develop similar technologies as I do in these departments like physics or ECE. But when I go to conferences, I see sometimes things that, for example, they developed biosensor to detect heart attack. And when I ask them how long your essay takes, it's like 8 hours. And on the other hand, I see another paper. They're like, oh, we can detect Alzheimer's biomarker in 30 seconds. I'm like, okay, did you really need to do it that fast? So in this community, I'm surrounded by amazing people who introduce me the real needs. Paul reads my proposals and writes on the side, Phyllis, this is fishing expedition, go find the real need. And I love it because, before I spent years working on this technology, actually, someone actually comes and tells me, wake up, is this really needed? Or sometimes Kevin comes and says, you know what, you have this technology, and there's a need in this, I have a colleague, they need something like that, right? So it's the community that I love, really dynamic in collaboration, so that's why I'm here.
Yeah, the longer you stay on this campus, the more affiliations you accumulate. So I'm part of many, many units, but BME will always be my home base because it really embraces the global omnivore nature that I have and all my colleagues here have, that we're really trying to make the world a better place through better health and better devices and better technologies. And, our diversity makes us stronger, right? So the fact that the vast majority of us come from different backgrounds and an odd assortment of PhDs and all sorts of disciplines, but a unifying factor that we want to solve important problems. So, and again, the quality of the students too, that we're recruiting students. In fact, I remember when I first met Alyssa, she was one of these students, right? She herself, she hasn't changed at all, by the way. Still the same, maybe fist bumps a little harder, but otherwise about the same. But, these bright, enthusiastic students see where they go. So it's the quality of the students that keeps me around. But I really think the global nature and the omnivore nature of our department, but unified for biomedical problems, is great.
So now I'm going to throw a hard question right back at you, Kevin.
Awesome.
What's your vision of the future of BME?
I think continuing to knock down barriers and having, great access to clinicians. I see one of them here, Chris. Hi, Chris. Trying to have good, collaborators that are here that want to work with us and really making the campus our department. I think we've done a really good job of that. We're all over the place. I think last count we're in about 6 different buildings and really trying to embed ourselves in the biomedical situation. But I think more training, more efforts in computational. I think competition is going to be a big growth area for our department. It already is. And more great students is the future.
So the first 25 years, I see we are just raising over the shoulders of so many people who put a lot of hard work, try to go out and tell the world that, hey, we are here. And I think we are going into a thriving phase now, and we do not have to advertise ourselves. People will be talking about the department all over the world. So that's my vision.
I guess I'm too early in the game for that. But I think as for BME, my vision would be just to integrate as many people who have an interdisciplinary mindset and have them working seamlessly with each other so that they can create really impactful and affordable and low-cost solutions for healthcare. So that would be my guess.
I concur. I think maybe I would add that more and more we will interactions with BME is actually an opportunity to merge engineering with the hospital, WIMR, and I think the more we nurture interactions between our department and people in the hospital, clinicians, have a great basis for this already, and I just see it just growing more and more. I think it's one of the most special things that we have here. So, the next 25 years, I would see really a total integration between our department and clinical realm.
I think I'm going to date myself a little bit with a movie quote here. I'm a big proponent of if you build it, they will come. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build tools that let me understand cell mechanics at a level well below what people currently think about. I'm going to build tools that allow you to take control of cell mechanics. I'm going to try to democratize those tools. And I will keep beating the drum that we need to care about how cells think mechanically until the clinicians listen to me. And hopefully eventually we can start building therapeutics around it.
I thought for sure everyone would say AI is the future of BME. No one said anything.
We're doing
Even
that.
Kevin.
I'm doing that too.
You did. Okay, fine.
There's a question.
Okay, do you want to start with the next one? I was going to ask you about challenges or obstacles along the way in your research trajectory, your career, things that you've faced and how you've overcome them. Oh, or we could skip that one.
I think for me, a big focus for me is maintaining focus on a specific biological question and designing a technique with the biological question in mind, because there are a lot of things that it's technically interesting to do, and I can get very easily sidetracked. So what I try to do is maintain a cadre of collaborators who can help continually point me towards interesting biological questions. And I have friends that I've made throughout the years, including a great clinician in Boston who's always just a phone call away to tell me, Josh, that's just not an interesting issue for my patients. And I find that can be really helpful to keep me focused. So that's for me, the ideas keep flowing, and it's sifting through them and making sure that I'm working on something relevant. That's my biggest challenge.
Well, I mean, I think there's so many hurdles in research, specifically in our field, this journey from idea to realization and to translation is a very difficult, non-trivial journey. And just at the top of my head, I mean, if we're designing something new, right? We're trying to realize something that hasn't been realized before. We're designing a new device. It's smaller than ever, and so we try to predict how it's going to behave, right? And we're almost always wrong, and we're also almost always wrong, in how to make that device. We can simulate all that we want, but we will make these mistakes. So I think, these are major hurdles: the design, engineering, realization, and how we overcome it. I mean, we just pivot. We pivot all the time. When we see that something is not working the way we want it to, then we change materials. Justin talks about the journey to FDA approval, which took 10 years or something, and that's what you have to do. You have to say, okay, we need something else. We need something more flexible. And in the case of Justin companies, and in the case of our attempts to miniaturize technologies, brain technologies, we just try something else. We're not going to just bang our heads against the wall. So that's how we try to overcome our obstacles.
Okay, so I'll probably mention two. And I think the first one just holds common to probably a lot of people in this room. Because of our interdisciplinary nature of work, and the fact that we are trying to chase high impact goals, we always try to augment our research and try to learn new things to make it happen. And the moment you start learning a new thing, you go down to level 0 and start from scratch. So that has been a continuous experience, a difficulty many times, but also like a challenge that you feel like, yes, you have to go through it. I think, and the second one is more of a comical nature, because it's still, it was one of my first experiences of working with clinicians, and that was something that I realized is very interesting, because the moment you ask them and talk to them about a technology, it's really hard to convince them. So I think that was one hurdle I faced, but ultimately we were able to get them on board. But that is something I think a lot of people will face or have faced as we are making these biomedical solutions.
Okay, I'm just gonna add something. I mean, research is a challenge itself, and it has been summarized really well. I never thought that I would be challenged by time. There are so many amazing people that I want to collaborate on this campus, and I don't have time. So that's my challenge right now, and I never thought that it would be one, and prioritize. Yeah, so this is an amazing place to work with others. Unfortunately, they has 24 hours.
Yeah, something I learned a long time ago that it's the right team for the job. That oftentimes I get approached by collaborators who want to work with me, even in my areas of expertise in computational imaging, and I realize I'm not the best person on campus to do that. And I think it's really healthy to build strong teams. So for every collaboration I take, there's probably 2 to 3 where I just play a matchmaker, and I find those actually more rewarding. So it's really good to match colleagues up and make sure that for a given problem, we got the strongest team possible. And I think that's something that is a good approach to.
Okay, right back at you. So now we're thinking about the mission of the BME department, which is really to take a multidisciplinary approach to problems in medicine and in healthcare. So how do you think this is a good one for you, multidisciplinary approach is really effective in tackling big, important problems?
Well, it's ingrained who we are, that we're all multidisciplinary. I think I agree with Avi as soon as that term gets tossed around too much. Sometimes we're more transdisciplinary than anything. But yeah, I mean, for the problems we're about, you need to combine so many fields, right? But I think our strength is that our students come from different backgrounds, so do our faculty. So I think it's pretty natural. And as long as we don't accept departmental barriers, I view the university as our base. And if we just collaborate freely, we'll be okay. So good discussions too. I think also the other thing I should add is in collaborations, it's so key to remember that we're in the human business more so than the science business, right? And so having direct connections with your clinicians and your engineering collaborators or computational collaborators and making sure that everybody is getting what they need out of it, right?
Yeah, I would say disciplinary humility. We all have our strengths, but we speak slightly different languages. And having an open mind and understanding other side. I mean, I probably mispronounce a lot of the biomarkers when I'm. I think I once called trampoline this heart attack biomarker, and the physician, did not even make a big deal out of it. She just corrected me and moved on. Another engineer that I have to train. So I love it that, keeping an open mind, that's the way to go if you want to benefit from all the interdisciplinary aspects.
Yeah, I will just, I think, chime in with that, the fact that everything is just multidisciplinary, it gives you an opportunity to learn and approach a problem in different ways and look at a comprehensive solution, be it working with clinicians who literally tell you that what is going to work and what is not, or working with the industrial people, working with those people who are really good at optimizing a technology and learning from them. So it's this kind of collaboration and a platform to communicate with so many different fields is something that I also align with. And yeah, that's something I really appreciate.
Echo all of that. I mean, I think that many universities can claim that they bring together different people from different fields, but when I came here, I was just amazed by, for example, the difference between MIT. I spent 8 years there, and the culture here. So in MIT and many other big institutions, it's actually it's made of silos of people that think that they can do everything themselves. And when Kevin said, sometimes I feel like I'm not the best person to do this, that means there's not a lot of ego there, and Kevin is just the best matchmaker, and well, there's so many, but he's really one of the best matchmakers. Yes, professionally. Well, I'm sure you could do, on the personal level as well, but yeah, professionally speaking, there's just not a lot of ego here, and it's just a lot of just culturally, in our department, just in the campus in Wisconsin, and Dave talked about it as well. The people just collaborate and for real. So I think that this is really, it really is a mission of our department or the campus. It's kind of a cultural thing, I think, in Wisconsin, and that's really one of the things that allow me, and I see that it's allowing a lot of young faculty to realize their goals.
I couldn't agree more about the silos and how they don't exist so much here. I just finished a postdoc in Boston. That was my experience as well. And I think that the opportunity for collaborations and the openness here is truly tremendous. So, for example, I don't have to be the best cell engineer in the world. I have two of them sitting at that table right there. I don't have to be the best multiphoton microscopist. We have two of them in this room, and I can reach out to that expertise, and I do. And I come across problems that I want to solve, and their expertise to help me get to the place that I want to be is here in the UW community. And I think that is truly fantastic. And also, it's a great thing that we have a place where people are willing to take some time out of their busy lives to help you figure out a problem and to exhibit some mentorship, especially for the young people like myself just starting out. It's been a great place to pick up new skills and to refine old ones and to push forward collaboratively.
Okay, I have one more question, but I want to leave time if any of you guys have a question. Don't be shy. Look at this genius group we got right here. Or I'll ask my last question. I don't know. Do you want me to ask you about AI? What do you think is the role of AI in the future of BME? Since you wouldn't talk about it in the future of BME.
I'll talk about it. So my students have recently discovered a thing that I discovered a couple of years ago, which is that with modern microscopy methods, the amount of data you produce is truly ridiculous. And we had to go buy several large, like 8 terabyte drives, and they're almost already full, and I think we're gonna have to buy more. And we produce just a volume of data that is ridiculous and hard to sift through. And we are currently trying to use AI to help us sift through that data or to make predictions based on that data, just to work with the truly large volumes of things we can create. It's very hard to do by hand. And so we're reaching for AI tools to help assist with that process.
Same. I mean, in neural engineering, brain sciences, now we have the hardware that allows us to generate insane amount of data. And not only that, it's hard to access the data, it's becoming increasingly hard to interpret it or even categorize it. So I think we are more and more leaning on large language models to, send queries into the data and receive even basic information and help us interpret, analyze, etc. And obviously, the caveat here is that I think that, as humans, we have the final say in the interpretation, and I think that should just, personally, I think it should stay that way, obviously forever. But it's almost, it's a necessity right now because of the amount of data. I would also add that, so people talk about large language models on the software side, but it's going to be very difficult to access and store the data if we're not also innovating on the hardware side. And we're relying on large clusters of computers, but I think that another thing that will coincide with the emergence of AI is an emergence of new types of hardware. So I think that BME and other fields is going to grow with new types of computational architectures such as quantum computing, and that is already happening in our campus. So that's something to look for.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think my experience with AI has not been much. I've been more of an enthusiastic observer of it as of now, but I do realize the usefulness of it, especially in my field. I work with a lot of radiologists, and I do ultrasound imaging myself. A lot of times, these images, when processed with AI, can help to identify things that sometimes doctors can miss out, or some underlying disease that they don't even know is there. So I think AI is really building up on that note, and it's going to be really helpful in the future in terms of diagnosis and treatment.
AI is great. I just concur all these answers, but I would really like to emphasize the importance of all these researchers that are working on the vet bench in collecting this data, because AI needs good, high quality, accurate data, right? So yes, data science, AI is really driving the future. There's a lot of activity in that zone, but collecting good data is also still very valid and important. So.
Old man on this panel, I've been thinking about this recently for other meetings because, I was around, and I guess it's almost 30 years ago, where Larry Lemweber, who's on campus, now retired, one of the leading pioneers of the internet, was asked to give a panel over in the old Union South that I was at about, what role would the internet play in our lives, right? Because about 94, 95 is when internet was coming around with browsers and IP protocols. And the panel was talking about how the internet would change our lives. What they got wrong, though, is that the internet became our lives rather than just something you choose to do, right? And I really thought about that. That's where AI is going to go. The AI is going to be the same way the internet is like plumbing, whether you like it or not. It's there. It's part of our lives. It's changed everything we do. AI is going to be the same way. It's not something you choose to do. It's going to be something that is going to choose for you in some cases. And so you need to be part of it. And I think the key thing is the internet's amazing, but it's how you use it, and it's how you're educated to use it. And the same thing is true of AI, that education is absolutely key. So the internet's amazing, but as you know, you can misuse it and misunderstand it. The same thing true of AI. So I think education has to be just as prominent as technology advances. And I think there's a lot of things we can learn from the pros and cons of the internet that are also apply to AI. But I think, just keep in mind that I think AI is going to be part of every aspect of BME, whether we like it or not. So I think we should embrace it and educate ourselves to use it properly, and also in our training. So.
Well, since you didn't have any questions, now you can't ask one. All right. Thanks, everybody.